Hey guys, I'm Max92 and welcome back to another tryout. Today's tryout is on Frozen Synapse and Frozen Cortex. Very recently, it might even still currently be, Frozen Cortex is like a game on Prime Gaming, and Frozen Synapse was also a game that was on there a while back that I remember getting. So I was like, let me do a video on both these games because these games are made by the same developer, and Frozen Synapse came out, it was like an indie hit. Then Frozen Cortex was a kind of follow-up. It's taking the idea and making something different with it. And even more recently, there's been a Frozen Synapse 2, which I don't really know that much about. I just know that it exists. But that's why we're here and doing this right now, in particular. But first, we will talk about Frozen Synapse. Frozen Synapse is a really interesting tactical turn-based strategy game where, as far as I understand it, both players take their turns at the same time. You're trying to outsmart the other person in real time, sort of, by making choices preemptively that counteract whatever they can do. I think this game is a bit more multiplayer focused, but I specifically just played offline because I didn't feel like making an account, and I played the single player mode, a couple missions of that. The tutorial is pretty in-depth. It pretty much tells you everything you need to know to start playing. It took, I don't know exactly how long. In my notes I have about 10 minutes, but I think that's a little long. When I was recording, when I finished it, I think it was 8-ish, 9-ish minutes, but there would be some like extra time at the beginning of that for stuff that I was doing in menus before. So probably like 5-10 minutes is about how long the tutorial is. It's kind of frustrating that you don't get any indication of like anything that the enemy is going to do. I understand why this would be the case in multiplayer when you're both taking the turns at the same time, but in single player, you just have to sort of make your decisions on how to tactics your squad around without having any input on how the enemy is going to then move. Like, they might have literally just spawned in, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm in the middle of something that I can't really account for. I don't have the ability to account for this on this turn. This character just spawned in, and this unit is just going to die regardless of what I do with it because that enemy just spawned in. That was a situation I ran into in one of the levels I was trying, where it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do about this? I guess just not put this character in the situation where that would be a problem, but like it wasn't a problem until the enemy spawned in, so like I can't foresee that this problem is going to be coming. With the way that's set up, it would be nice if the single player had a way to restart from the previous turn or something like that, because one mistake, and this could be like, I can't tell you exactly how long a mission might take, but I was in a mission, I was like 5-6 turns deep into it, and I made a mistake on like turn 4. That meant that turn 5 was just lost. We were going to lose the next turn. And so it's like, it'd be cool if I could just restart from the beginning of turn 4 or something, because like that's where the mistake was, but instead I have to start over entirely. And with how the game is set up, the maps are randomized and the enemy spawns are somewhat randomized because of how the maps are randomized. So you can't really like learn from your mistakes and I was like, oh, I just won't do that next time, because the situation is different next time. You know, the enemies aren't going to spawn in the same ways, they aren't going to move in the same ways because the environment's entirely different. The way you are going to move is going to be entirely different because the environment is different. And so all these little things make it sort of less fun, for me anyway, to sit down and play this really interesting game with this really interesting system, because like I just want a little bit more like what's going on. You know, I want a way to know what's going on a bit more so I can make more informed decisions and really learn how the game works. It might be fun to play like against friends or something, but I don't think any of my friends own this game. It's probably a better game for multiplayer because it really gets more into that like you're both sort of blind to each other, whereas when it's like an AI and you're dealing with an objective or whatever, it's a bit more frustrating to play. But I don't think I'm going to play it multiplayer, and so we get down to it. I feel like I don't often fail games that I like, but this game fails its tryout. I think it's really cool, but I probably won't play it ever again. Like, I see it, I appreciate what it's doing and what it does. I'm not that interested in playing it more myself. And that's really all I think I had to say about Frozen Synapse. I think I got through all my notes here. So let's talk about Frozen Cortex. Frozen Cortex, similar concept, that tactical turn-based strategy game, but instead of being like a war game sort of thing where you're commanding troops, moving troops around, you are commanding a robot like football team, basically. The rules aren't exactly football, but they're, I think, most similar to football than other games. I found this game pretty fun to play, actually, which is a bit surprising because I'm not generally that into sports games. I played like 2 matches only in the hour, or a little over an hour that I played. I played through a tutorial single match, and then I played 1 match in the league mode or whatever. And then there was also the tutorial. My total time, according to my notes here, was like an hour and 20 minutes or so. The world that it's set in is very charming, and these like alternate universe sports games tend to have pretty like charming aesthetics and worlds and stuff like that, like talking about like Speedball, Blood Bowl, those sorts of things. They generally have like fun like pastiches of real life sports that are fun to look at, even if you're not like someone who knows sports. You know, I grew up around people who really got into sports, so I know quite a bit. I've picked up quite a bit over the years. I like to pretend that I don't really know that much. I'm like, oh, sports ball, but like I know. I know the basics of basketball, baseball, football, and I've played all these games to some extent growing up. The single player modes in Frozen Cortex feel a bit more in depth than the one in Frozen Synapse, and that might just be from like a design and UI perspective. Like, I know that there's a narrative going on in Frozen Synapse, and there doesn't appear to be a narrative, like a traditional narrative going on in Frozen Cortex. You're just sort of playing through a football league of some variety, or there's another single player mode where you just play matches until you lose. And I think they use, like, you can use your same team in both and like have similar, the same progression in both, but it just feels a bit more in depth, I think, than what Frozen Synapse has. But that, again, it's probably just like a UI design thing, because like you have the team creation aspects and all the stuff that you get in like a sports game where you build your team and your, you know, the players on your team, and you change its like aesthetics and all that stuff is all here, which isn't stuff you would have in a tactical strategy shooter game thing, like a military strategy type thing. So it makes sense that they're not there in Frozen Synapse. It just makes Frozen Synapse feel less in-depth than Frozen Cortex on its single-player modes. The thing that really, I think, made Frozen Cortex more fun for me to play was that you can play single-player in an easy mode, which will show you what the AI is planning to do on its turn while you're doing your turn. So you can sort of look at the AI and be like, oh, they're going to try and go here and do this, so I can, like, do this and all this stuff. And it, for me, makes it more fun to play, and I'm sure that's not the same for everyone. I'm sure some people really enjoy blindly setting up some wild strategic nonsense and all that. But for me, it's like, I want to know a bit more. I want to be making more informed decisions, and so this easy mode is really nice for me to be like, okay, I see. So they're trying to do this with it. So if I do this and this, I can, you know, whatever. Even if with easy mode, it's very fun to line up some crazy thing where you, with like the tiniest amount of space, block them and take the ball and then score the goal. It's woo! It's fun. It's a fun, simple, not simple, but it's fun. That's really what I'm trying to say. As for like a negative that I saw, this isn't really like a negative to the game necessarily, but it's more when I tried to play a replay for my first single match that I did directly after the tutorial, the game crashed. It just crashed, black screen, closed. Not sure what that was, but it was a crash. It happened. So figured I'd mention it because it's part of my experience. But I think overall, this is one that's like past question mark. It seems like something I'll probably keep installed for now, and you know, it's something that like fits a specific niche of interest that sometimes it's like might be what I'm looking for out of a game. So I'll keep it installed, might play more of it, and I think it's pretty cool. And if you're into the sort of tactical strategy and you're into sports games, I think this is an a very uncommon crossing of those two concepts that you probably won't see much anywhere else. So yeah, I don't really have anything to say about both of them. It seems like Mode 7 is an interesting developer and publisher to check out, to keep an eye on. They have published a handful of games, and they have developed a handful of games. And so then they have, I was looking on their website, and they have some pretty like strict requirements for stuff that they would publish. So I think they might be interesting to look at, to keep an eye on what they develop and publish in terms of like innovators in the gaming space doing unique things. And that's about it. That's my conclusion. So let's get down to the end bits here. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. If you go down in the description, you find a beacons.ai link with my Patreon, Bandcamp, Redbubble, etc. Click those links, do what you do in those places. Subscribe if you want to keep with this and other shows. I do a whole bunch of stuff all the time. Comment, share, do the things. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!